Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox. I'm the Compliance Evangelist, and I'd like to welcome you to Week 4 of 1 month to Operationalizing Your Compliance Program. This month I'm proud to have as my sponsor Oversight Systems. Some of the key points for Oversight's FCPA Automatic Transaction Monitoring Solution are that it provides a clear advantage to be able to monitor all of your transactions over an extended time horizon versus one transaction at a time, multiple sample-based approach. This longitudinal style analysis derives insights across employee expenses, expense reports, attendees, purchase orders, and merchants that can be difficult to see with traditional audits. Oversight's library of FCPA analytics takes a risk-based approach to identify anomalies that may suggest compliance or FCPA concerns. Actions taken to review and resolve potential FCPA risk using built-in workflow are automatically documented and logged by the systems. This provides a document or defensible audit trail that demonstrates to internal or external stakeholders that there is a proactive monitoring of business transactions and the corrective action that was taken on those potential risks. The automation that Oversight provides around data acquisition, data analysis, and tracking, and the communication steps to resolve issues significantly lower the cost of compliance. Clients often see a reduction of 50% or more in effort when they are using the Oversight tool versus their previous approaches. Oversight can operationalize your compliance efforts to monitor your travel, entertainment, and procure to pay at a price point which is affordable in a time frame that's achievable. Finally, while there's no guarantee that you'll be able to prevent bad actors from circumventing controls, with Insights on Demand, the Oversight tool, you'll have a best practice approach to identifying possible FCPA violations in travel, entertainment, and procure to pay. In this final week of 1 month to Operationalizing Your Compliance Program, I'm going to look at tone in an organization at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. I'm going to look at operationalizing your compliance program through compensation and incentives. And finally, I'm going to end with information on operationalizing your compliance program by putting it at the center of your corporate strategy. I hope you've enjoyed this 1 month to Operationalizing Your Compliance Program, and I hope you will join me next month where I take up 1 month to better third-party management. This is Tom Fox. Thank you very much for listening. Day 20, Operationalizing Compliance down into the middle. The evaluation of corporate compliance programs makes clear that a company must have more than simply good tone at the top. It must move this tone down through the organization from senior management to middle management and into lower ranks. This means that one of the tasks of any company, including its compliance organization, to fully operationalize a compliance program is to get middle management to respect the stated ethical values of a company. But this is because you're only as good as a leader as the leaders underneath you. This can be a very painful lesson for many, but when you're projecting your values, the rest of the company is experiencing those values. Senior managers communicate what a company's ethics and values are to middle management. So while tone at the top is certainly important in setting a standard, you must move it downward through the entire organization. In many ways, direct supervisors have become the most important influence on people in a company. Therefore, a big part of your leadership responsibility is picking and guiding the right middle managers and training them. This means also that if someone doesn't live up to the values that you as a leader or senior manager not only articulate but aspire to, you may have to let them go. These are tough decisions, particularly if they're high performers, but this is an important message that can be sent throughout the organization. That if you rise to a level in a company, and the higher you rise, you're going to be required to model additional behaviors. And for employees who've moved up to middle management, this is going to be critical. You have to live up to the culture, and the process starts by training on that culture and looking for the right people to communicate that culture. So do you have a thirst for doing business in compliance and according to the company's values? Do you treat your coworkers with respect and integrity? What about the courage to speak up? How many middle managers have that? If they have a great idea about compliance, will they say it? If they have some negative information, will they also be willing to say it? Another trait to look at is curiosity. Because here you want people who are curious about your industry and moving your company forward in that industry. And in this day and age, this means compliance and further the operationalization of compliance. Finally, be outward looking. Have people as middle managers who are outward looking. You want them to do good and do right. The best way to undermine a company's values is to put people in leadership positions who are not adhering to those corporate values. And when that comes to compliance, unfortunately, that can lead to things such as FCPA violations. So what should the tone in the middle be? What should middle management's role be in operationalizing a compliance program? The role is critical because the majority of company employees work directly with middle managers rather than top managers, and consequently they will take their cues from how middle management responds to a situation. As the frontline supervisors, often this is who employees will talk to. They rarely have the opportunity to talk to the CEO or senior management. So have you trained your middle management to listen to the concerns of employees, particularly around compliance? Even if middle management cannot affect a direct change and they have to report it up the chain, it's important that employees below them have an outlet to express their concerns. Therefore, that means that your organization should train middle managers to enhance their listening skills in the context of providing training for their manager toolkit. This can be particularly true if there's a compliance violation or other incident which requires some form of employee discipline. Most people think there will be organizational justice along the lines that they'll be treated fairly. Without organizational justice, employees typically do not understand outcomes if the perceived procedural fairness is not there. So the operationalization of compliance by middle managers turns out to be an incredibly important and key aspect moving forward. You have to communicate to middle managers what the expectations are of them, but they may not have had this training that senior managers have. So that's another key component of training, and particularly training middle managers to listen. By moving the values of a compliance through an organization into the middle, you'll be in a much better position to inculcate these values and operationalize compliance with them. So what are the three key takeaways for today? Well, the first one is tones at the top. Direct supervisors have become the most important influence on people in organizations. You rarely see a CEO or senior managers, so these are going to be the people that communicate the company's values to employees. This leads to key takeaway number 2, which is you have to give your middle managers a toolkit around compliance so that they can fully operationalize compliance. That means you need to put on particular training and specific training for people who are promoted up to middle management. And then you need to assess them on not only their training, but how well they're doing that going forward. And finally, one of the top leadership skills for any leader is to listen. And this can be the CEO, this could be the chief compliance officer, this can be a middle manager who has employees working for them. You have got to listen to the concerns of your employees. You've got to listen to determine if there's something that needs to be reported up, even if you can't make the change yourself. And that means when you're promoting people into middle management, you need to make sure that they have that ability to listen. And if they don't, and you still want to promote them up to to middle management, you have to give them that training and that skill. This is Tom Fox. Thank you very much for joining me on day 20 of 1 month operationalizing your compliance program. And I hope you'll join me tomorrow for day 21. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to thank you very much for listening to today's episode of how to operationalize your compliance program. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. If you've listened to this podcast via iTunes, I would greatly appreciate it if you would rate us. It would help in our rankings and help get the word out about how to learn about operationalizing your compliance program in 1 month. This is Tom Fox. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you'll join me tomorrow.